friends, I'm Laura and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to chit chat with you about lifestyle changes I am making since finding out that I have endometriosis. There are so many changes that have happened in my life in this past year. Having surgery, finally getting diagnosed for stage 4 endometriosis, which explains my 15 years of unexplained female infertility and 22 years of chronic pain, exhaustion, anxiety, depression, a whole bunch of symptoms. And I feel like my entire world has shifted since finding out that I have this progressive disease that takes over these different parts of your abdomen and wreaks havoc on a lot of areas of your life, unfortunately. Not everybody has symptoms, not everybody has pain, but a large portion of women living with endometriosis do experience that. I am turning 35 years old this year, and health has become so important to me. It's been really important to me over the past couple of years as my chronic pain has reached a level that became unbearable and excruciating. And I've implemented a lot of changes before finding out that I had this disease, and even more changes since finding out that I have it. So I'm going to talk to you about what those lifestyle changes are, some lifestyle changes you can consider to better support your health and living with this disease if you also struggle with it, and just share my perspective on why I am making these changes, how it's going, and the changes I hope to make still in the future. I would say my number one priority this year has been to reduce my stress. I cut back the number of hours I was working. I'm a mental health counselor, and although I absolutely love my job, it is a career path that can lead to burnout if you're working with too many clients a week. So after being diagnosed with my disease, I really scaled back my workload, and that has helped tremendously in terms of just being able to mentally handle the physical strain that the disease takes. Because if your mental health is in a poor spot and you're really stressed out, one, that can definitely flare up inflammation, which is a huge issue with this disease. Inflammation makes everything worse. So you don't want stress because it increases inflammation. But the other thing that I've come to realize is a large benefit of cutting back on the amount of stress that you have is that this disease really affects your mental health. I currently have 2 to 3 weeks out of every cycle that is excruciating pain for me. Really hard to deal with, taking ibuprofen and Tylenol nonstop and with a heating pad every day, all day, and it's very challenging to be in that amount of pain and to not have the energy to do the things in life that you really want to do, to not feel like you can go out and go for a run or go to a theme park or even walk around the grocery store sometimes because it's too painful. So that's a really hard part of this disease to live with. And if you live with a lot of stress or a really busy schedule, basically what I found was happening to me last year was that I would work and I would stay in bed until I had to leave for work, and I was working so much. I worked all day. I would come home really late, sometimes between like 7 to 10 p.m. from work, and then I would come home and go straight to bed. So I was literally spending all of my working days sleeping and working and doing nothing else because I literally was too unwell to do anything else. Like, I didn't even want to watch TV on the couch with my husband after work to calm down because I was in so much pain. I just felt like I needed to lay down and be in bed alone. It was very unenjoyable. And then on the couple of good weeks that you have, or for me, I get like 1 or 2 good weeks every cycle where I feel pretty good, can go out and do the things that I want to do, and I actually have energy. I was finding I was actually spending those days working, and that was really stressful to feel like I was so unwell that on the days that I was sick, I could only be in bed and work. And then on the days when I was well, I was spending all of my very limited energy and well-being on working. So that was like zero balance for me, it was not good for my mental health. And when I focused on reducing my stress this year and really cutting back my workload, it helped me juggle the mental load of having this disease a lot better, because now I have so much more free time that in the days when I'm not feeling well, I can actually tend to myself, take care of myself, sit with a heating pad, watch TV, do some embroidery. On days when I feel good, I actually have time to go out and do stuff, like go walking for several hours with a friend, or go hiking, or go out and, start a new project, or shop for a nursery, or like any of the things that I want to do in life. I actually have time to do them on the days when I'm feeling well, because my days are not filled from early morning to late evening with work. So reducing stress is huge for this disease. It's crucial for your mental health and well-being while managing chronic fatigue, exhaustion, pain, to have free time to actually utilize the time when you are feeling well. And so I think reducing stress is huge, in addition to all the health benefits. Like, we know stress is horrible, can cause like heart attacks and heart disease and all kinds of issues. I very much believe that reducing stress is in the best interest of everybody, not just people with endometriosis. But remember, stress increases inflammation. Inflammation flares endometriosis. So it is super in your interest to reduce your stress if you are a person living with endometriosis. The next lifestyle change is eating whole, fresh foods. I am a person who, for the majority of my life, has eaten largely processed foods. If you want to see my diagnosis video, how I came to be diagnosed with endometriosis earlier this year, all the symptoms that I was suffering, all the health changes that came before that, I will link the video down below. You can check out that video. It's all in the same video. And I cut out gluten a few years ago after learning that I was gluten intolerant. Well, since finding out that I have endometriosis, so many things are coming into perspective and making even more sense. If you eat a food that you are intolerant to, and it's specific to each person's body, so for you, gluten might not be a problem, although I will say it is a pretty inflammatory food. Like, it's one of the top 5 inflammatory groups of things to cut out if you are a person suffering with inflammation or chronic illness. So it's definitely worth looking into, I think, for most people. But if you have a body specifically that is intolerant to gluten or any other food group, eating that food group causes severe inflammation in your abdomen, in your gut, and all of your digestion organs. And y'all, that's a problem. That is a major problem, because endometriosis, again, feeds off of that inflammation. It flares the disease up and makes it worse. And when things are wreaking havoc, my understanding is that the disease can progress and grow even quicker when all of these other things in the body are unwell and not supporting the slowing down of the disease. So reducing inflammation in your diet is huge, and for me that was cutting out gluten. Since finding out that I had the disease, since I did that before I found out I had the disease, I've been reading the book Beating Endo. I will also link that down below. I cannot recommend it enough, guys. It has been so informative and so validating for all the symptoms I've had for more than 20 years that I had no idea were even endometriosis symptoms. And it has a lot of lifestyle changes to consider making in that book, and the science behind why each of those changes would be very beneficial for living with endometriosis. So a lot of my information I get from that, as well as a nutritionist, and just working with different professionals now that I know that I have this disease, to try to figure out what I need to do. And eating whole fresh foods is just one of the biggest things that you can do to help support your body. The less processed it is, the easier it's going to be for your body to digest. Avoid foods that you might be intolerant to, that cause significant gastrointestinal distress, that cause inflammation, that cause pain. Reduce those foods, because anytime you're flaring up that system, it's going to flare up your endo as well. My personal approach is not one of like fear or hyper control. I am very much like a do it in a healthy way, do it the best you can. It's not a big deal. I still eat chips. I still love ice cream. I'm still eating a lot of things that are not whole fresh foods, but I have made it a priority to increase the amount of whole fresh foods I am eating and to replace some of my snacking with whole fresh foods. So I tend to eat a lot of small meals throughout the day, and I like to snack on actual food as opposed to snacking on, you know, processed foods that might cause inflammation in my body. So this year I have added like lots of berries to my diet. I've always loved berries, but I'm using them as like snacking anytime that I want to snack or something sweet. I love dark chocolate. I love salted almonds. I found out that I love those this year, and that's great for you. Healthy fats are good for you, and have been focused on trying to increase my protein a little bit, and that's been going pretty well. Also, increasing the omegas in the body. Fish. Eat fish. Very good for you. If you do any research into cycle syncing and how to support your body throughout the different parts of your cycle, especially if you deal with a lot of menstrual pain and cramps, they recommend omega, I can't remember if it's 3s or 6s. I think it is omega 3s that people don't have enough in, and then they tend to be overabundant in omega 6s, and you need both of them to be well balanced to help support your cycle and to help support reduction of cramps with your cycle. So I really focus on increasing the omega 3s that I've had, eating a lot of fish, a lot of shrimp. I try to eat like something fish or shrimp once or twice a week at least, and that's been really good for me. I feel like, you know, it also sits really light on the stomach, which is great if you're a person who struggles with gastrointestinal pain or digestive issues because of your endometriosis. You'll know that eating food that feels light and easy to process, it just feels a lot better on your stomach than eating really heavy foods that feel like glue through your system. That flares up the inflammation, and it flares up the endometriosis, and we do not need any more issues than the issues we are already dealing with because of endo. So I've really focused on increasing whole fresh foods. I am eating a lot of organic smoothie bowls. I buy these ones, and it's got gluten-free granola that comes with it, and it's a frozen acai bowl. I buy them in a 4-pack frozen from Sam's Club. They are organic. They have got strawberries, blueberries, acai, granola in them. They are great. I eat them as one of my breakfasts, and I also eat them as a snack pretty frequently. So I've loved that. I've also really prioritized making myself breakfast this year. I will usually have a breakfast sandwich with like a sausage patty, an egg, and a gluten-free piece of toast, and that'll be one of my breakfasts. I eat kind of like a hobbit, just so you know. Like I have first breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies. I eat a lot of small meals throughout the day because my stomach truly can't handle anything too dense or too heavy or too much volume at one time, because my digestive system is so sensitive because of my disease. So I tend to eat a lot of small meals throughout the day, and so prioritizing breakfast has been huge. Eating like the breakfast sandwich for one of my breakfasts, and then like an hour later eating an acai bowl, and then an hour or two after that eating like a mid-morning snack. And it just feels good. My body feels good when I eat like that. I personally haven't noticed any reduction in my endometriosis symptoms at all yet, but I feel good about the changes that I'm making. I feel like I am supporting my health and my longevity in life, and it's been a really slow transformation to try to become healthy and to prioritize my wellness after learning out that I have this disease that I've had forever and didn't know about. And it just feels really good when you're a person struggling with health to take control of the areas where you do have some say in and optimize them to be as going as well as they can be. And what I eat is one thing that I do have some level of influence over. And if I can trade out ice cream for fruit smoothies, that's a good exchange, because dairy can be inflammatory and fresh fruits are good for you. And reducing sugar has been another diet change in terms of trying to eat more whole fresh foods. I have been trying to reduce the amount of processed sugar. If I'm baking stuff, because I love baked treats, I'm trying to exchange a lot of that processed sugar for maple syrup or honey, and that is supposed to help with the inflammation as well, because granulated sugar, any processed sugar, can really increase that inflammation in your body as well. So that's one of the big things I've been learning this year, is just how to better support my body, my health, my energy, my well-being, my digestive system through my food choices. And I've been trying to make food choices that make me feel good. The next lifestyle change is light exercise. Y'all, I used to be an exercise fiend. I worked out all the time, like an hour a day, sometimes 30 minutes a day. I was so in shape 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, I was so in shape 5 years ago. It was insane. I did a lot of yoga, a lot of inversions, a lot of resistance training, and essentially worked myself out to a place where I couldn't walk because my pain had gotten so bad. And I kept working out because in traditional health models, they tell you that working out is good for you, and pain means that it's working and your muscles are growing and you're increasing your strength and endurance, and that's good for you. After reading the book Beating Endo, I found out that is entirely false for people with endometriosis. For a person with endometriosis, you do not want to do anything to your body that causes a significant amount of inflammation or pain reaction. You have enough of that going on already. You do not need your workout to add any more stress to your body. Your exercise should be light, it should be easy, it should support the reduction of inflammation in your body through slow, gentle movement. So I have really been exploring this through walking. I started a walking club with one of my best friends, and that has been so fun. We've been on 2 or 3 walks already, and it's been really great. So we'll get together and we will chat and catch up whenever she's in town, because she travels a lot, and we'll go for like a walk for an hour or 2, and that's been really great. I also bought a bicycle off of Facebook Marketplace. I'm so excited, y'all. It's a cruiser, a women's cruiser bike. It's so cute. But I haven't figured out how to use it yet, because I live in the suburbs of the city and my neighborhood doesn't really have like sidewalks connecting it to town. So even though I live a 5-minute drive from a lot of things like restaurants or shopping, there aren't sidewalks accompanying those roads where I could ride a bicycle. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to use the bicycle yet, but I bought it because that's a good way to do gentle exercise. It's not going to increase the burden or inflammation on the body. It's just really easy, really light, really simple, but moves the body, gets the blood flowing. Gentle stretches. That's another way that I have been focused on gentle movement that supports my body. So in the book Beating Endo, I read that a person with endometriosis, because they have so much pain in this general area, we tend to live like this. I'm wearing shorts, so don't mind my bare legs, but I don't know if you do this, but I do this all the time. I live like this almost all the time. When I am at work, I sit like this. When I am at home with my heating pad, I sit with my heating pad on my belly, and then I use my legs to hold it close. This is a very protective posture, and cradling yourself or protecting the area that's in a lot of pain, in this case the abdomen, is super normal for a person with endometriosis or for a person with pain for any reason. And unfortunately, what that does is it causes all of our muscles, all of our fascia, all of our organs to slowly shift and distort over time, and not function the way that they're supposed to, because they live in this contracted state, the muscles do, where everything's constantly being held together. And so it's not used to slowly being stretched out. It's not used to being open. It's not used to the postures that allow it to stretch, because we're often trying to protect ourselves. So what I was reading is that when the muscles and when the fascia start becoming really tight and trying to automatically live in a state where you tend to keep it, which is this protective mode of like restricted muscles and shortened fascia and muscles, it causes a lot of other issues, because then your organs aren't really being supported in the position that they should be in, and your muscles aren't working together the way that they're supposed to, because some of them are shortened and some of them are not being used at all or rarely being used. And so for overall functioning of the body, for increasing blood flow to the area, for increasing your health and wellness and supporting your organs and your muscle and the proper function of all of that, light, gentle exercise is where it's at. Gentle stretching is where it's at. Learning how to stretch that abdomen back out and learning how to undo this posture that you probably naturally live in if you have a lot of pain in your abdomen. I read that that was really important, and I have been trying to prioritize gentle movement. Another way I've done that is by checking out some slow yoga flows. Y'all, I live in the city. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and one thing I have found out about yoga here from my experience going to yoga for lots of years at lots of different places is that it's very trendy. And by that, I mean that a lot of yoga studios tend to create yoga classes that are going to perform well and have a high sign-up rate. That tends to be, in my area, hot, fast yoga flows. You listen to like rap music or pop music. It's a very fast pace. You are sweating the entire time. The room is heated up to 95 degrees. You are working so hard. You are losing so much sweat in that hour, and you are really pushing your muscles to a state of like exhaustion. Like you'll be sore for a couple of days after doing a hot yoga class if you've never done hot yoga before. And that is obviously the opposite of the kind of gentle movement that the Beating Endo book recommends, and all the science behind their why they recommend that be the approach that a person with endo takes. So the kind of yoga I was doing before was incorrect and not supporting that gentle movement that really taught my body that it's safe, that it can open up, that we're not going to cause any more pain, we're not going to create any more pain neurons in that area, because dear Lord, our brains are receiving enough pain signals as is from our disease. We don't need exercise to flare that up even more. So just the science in this book is incredible, and I feel like I have learned and grown so much in just trying to implement this in my life. So I've been looking for gentle, slow, restorative yoga. I don't like the ones where you hold a particular posture for 5 minutes either, because that can feel a little strenuous and hard on some of my hip flexors are very tight. That's normal for a person with endometriosis, again, because of that protective posture. And so holding up a stretching pose for 5 minutes can actually cause some pain and distress for my particular muscles and joints and stuff, because my body does not enjoy that at all. So I've been trying to find like a slow flow where you gently, slowly move through different poses. And honestly, the best thing I've found so far has been just looking it up online. I haven't really found any local classes that have done that the way that I like yet. So I've been looking for it, and if I'm gonna find it, I'll find it in the city, I'm sure, because we have a lot more access to different studios and different teachers and stuff. So I'm hopeful that one day I'll find one, but I'm not stressing myself out about it. Just trying new things if and when I can, and Yeah, definitely learning that my approach to movement and exercise needed a drastic change when I found out that I had stage 4 endometriosis. And long are the days of pushing myself to collapse on the floor from my workout and be covered in sweat. And now I need to figure out how to rebuild muscle and reteach my body correct posture and supportive postures and muscle movement through a very gentle form of exercise that gets the blood flowing and is gentle on the body and doesn't increase any inflammation or pain in those areas where you already have inflammation and pain. All right, I think I'm at the last lifestyle change that I want to talk about today, and that is reducing your toxins. Oh my Lanta. Oh my goodness. I'm a little bit woo-woo. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got into essential oils years ago. I love them. I buy them from lots of different places, and I love organic fruits and vegetables. I have an organic garden. There are lots of things that I'm a little bit woo-woo about, where I really try to prioritize a more healthy approach to life. And I, for a long time, have known and understood the science behind artificial fragrances having a high toxin load, particularly the burden that they can place on the reproductive system, which is obviously the system most affected by endometriosis because it is a gynecological or reproductive disease. It affects those organs first and can spread to other organs from there. But the thing that I have found is when reading my book and looking into other sources of information about lifestyle changes to make for endometriosis, reducing your toxins was huge because so many reasons, y'all. The science blows my mind. So a person with endometriosis does not get rid of toxins as easily as the next person. A person with endometriosis, if you're anything like me, you tend not to sweat that much because you tend to be pretty skinny. Your body tends to run cold, so you don't get that hot that much, and therefore you sweat less. We also love to wear toxic antiperspirants and deodorants. I am among that crowd. I've tried some natural ones. I haven't found one that works yet, but we love to wear those toxic ones because they work, and those are creating reproductive toxins in the body that slow down our reproductive system. They burden our reproductive system. They cause inflammation in the body. Artificial fragrances are also associated with like cancers and carcinogens and all kinds of scary stuff that's not good. And I've known that for a long time. So I've worked on switching out some of my scented candles for essential oils, my perfume for essential oils. I have been doing natural skincare or less toxic skincare for a few years now. I've also been making a transition with my makeup to less toxic makeup choices. And it's just a huge area because we do not sweat as much as the average person. We also, y'all, we do not poop as much as the average person, usually. A person with endometriosis usually struggles with constipation, and that is due to all the inflammation in the abdomen, as well as particular endometrial implants could be affecting your digestion as well. So for example, in my surgery or post-surgery, I learned that my colon is connected to my left fallopian tube with scar tissue. That means I am in excruciating pain anytime I have to use the bathroom. Going to the bathroom is a very slow process because my colon is restricted or constricted with scar tissue. And it's also not a straight tube up and down like it's supposed to be. It's actually a little bit over here. Like it's got a little curve to it. Not a big one because these organs are all very close to each other in the body, but it's got a little bit of a curve to it because it's connected to my left fallopian tube with scar tissue. So it's a problem I've had my entire life and a problem that I know a lot of other people with endometriosis struggle with. And If y'all don't know, seriously, read this book. I didn't used to think I was constipated because I had a bowel movement every day, but I was still extremely backed up, as indicated by x-rays, repeated x-rays by a gastroenterologist, and was diagnosed incorrectly with IBS before they found out that what was actually going on was endometriosis. It takes my body a long time to move food from this part to the other part, and excreting or excrement, pooping, is the primary way that your body gets rid of toxins. And for a person with endometriosis, if you struggle with constipation, if you struggle with feeling like there's concrete in your intestines, in your colon, in your stomach, if you feel like things move so slowly and it's always in pain, you are probably constipated. And what happens is that those toxins are sitting there in your poop, in your body, for a couple of days before your body can get rid of it. It's not a quick through the body like the average person. They don't quickly get rid of the toxins. The toxins sit there as it slowly moves, your waste slowly moves throughout your intestines and your colon to finally be out of your body, which means those toxins are leaching back into your body and sitting in your body longer. So for an average person, they might be able to use toxic lotion and toxic fragrances and toxic makeup and toxic candles and toxic household cleaners and toxic everything. I'm not gonna lie, this whole world is toxic. Like, again, I'm not going for perfection here. I'm just trying to reduce my toxin load. I'm not trying to eliminate it or go no tox, because the stress of that is just like insane. The cost of that is insane. So I'm trying to take a very slow and relaxed approach to it and just do the best I can with making changes if and when I can. And reducing toxin load is a huge part of that, because if you have pseudoestrogens in your body, which come in the form of artificial fragrances and all kinds of other things, I can't remember which ones, if they're like phthalates or sulfates or all the other bad stuff. Like, I can't remember which toxins are what, but the book goes into the science really well, and there are some great scientists out there who will explain it to you better than I can, and nutritionists that can explain it better than I can. And from those sources, what I have learned is that because my body cannot get rid of toxins as easily as another person's body, and because my reproductive system already suffers from issues, I really do not want to be adding any more toxins into my body, causing any more reproductive issues or burden or carcinogens or anything that might cause inflammation, cause an immune system flare, cause any kind of issue in my body. So I've been trying to reduce my toxin intake and my toxin load and make choices that better support my health and better support having low inflammation in the body instead of being very inflamed in the body, and just trying not to put any more burden on my reproductive system at all. So I have felt so good about this change. It's probably the lifestyle change that I have the most amount of growth to still go through. And again, that's because I'm taking a very slow, non-stressed approach to it. I'm not trying to throw out everything I've ever used in my entire life and replace it with something non-toxic. And yeah, just trying to be really mindful about making those changes if and when I can. And that's some of the reasons why. So those are the lifestyle changes I have been making to better support my body living with stage 4 endometriosis. And yeah, just learning how to be a lot more gentle with myself, to not be upset at my body when it's in pain, to not wonder why I'm different than other people, or question why I throw up when I have a bowel movement when other people don't. And you know, I've really been learning to be gentle with the way that I think about and judge myself and my body's limitations, because I am working with a lot less energy, a lot less well-being, a lot less just physically feeling well compared to a lot of people. And so just trying to be really gentle on myself, make these lifestyle changes where they fit in, when I can, and better support my body to live better with this disease, because the disease is not going away. There is no cure for endometriosis. There are things you can do, like surgery, that can help reduce the amount of it that is in your body and kind of give you a fresh slate for the progressive disease to start building up again. And what I really want to focus on is slowing the progression of the disease, slowing how quickly my body is creating these implants of the endometrial tissue in my body. And I'm also wanting to make sure that when I do have another surgery, that I am not going to be creating all this inflammation and this environment in which the disease grows back quickly again. I want to do whatever I can to feel well, to live well, to feel energetic and good and strong and healthy, and like I'm making good choices for myself. Again, when you're struggling with chronic health issues, there's only so much you can do, and there's a lot of stuff you don't have control over. There's a lot of ways in which you will feel less healthy than other people as your baseline. And so taking some initiative over the areas where you can influence positive change in your health, I feel like that's just a really great way to be proactive as a person with a disease and trying to take some ownership of your life back and some ownership of your health back, and do what you can to try to live as well as you can with the disease. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Laura. I have stage 4 endometriosis. My channel is largely about the intersection of living a creative life and mental well-being. This health stuff is a whole new component this year, but it actually plays a large role on mental health to have your physical health be going through something major. And so learning how to live well with this disease is a really big part of being mentally well and having the energy to do the creative things that I want to do, because I love creative things. So if you are interested in any of these topics, check out my channel. I do lots of creative projects all the time: scrapbooking, painting, DIY projects, embroidery, hanging out with my friends, hosting fun girly parties, and yeah, decorative things. I love hosting and decorating, and I love to share mental health stuff and my health overlap and personal journey stuff with that. Going through a huge journey this year with foster care, adoption, IVF, trying to grow our family after 15 years of unexplained female infertility, finally having it explained this year and figuring out our best paths forward. And I talk about all of that. So yeah, I hope you will take a look-see around. If any of that sounds interesting to you, leave me a comment down below if this video has been helpful at all. Again, I'm not a scientist. I definitely messed up some terminology or did not explain things properly or as thoroughly or as well as a person with the medical background and the scientific knowledge and research background would. So read the book that I'm talking about. Look into your own other sources of information for how to live well with endometriosis. The science is out there, the research is out there. You just got to look into it. Try not to get overwhelmed with the lifestyle changes you might want to make, and know that any change you make, even if it's slow, even if it's little, it is a change in the right direction if you are doing it intentionally. So I am gonna send good thoughts your way, and I hope that you are doing well, and I hope to see you again on my channel real soon. Bye, friends.